and hear this conversation because it is so important in our community that we have this conversation. So, my special guest, I get to introduce to all of our Power 106 family, is Miss Alicia. And she is going to be introducing, starting in November, on Thursdays at 7 p.m., Begin to Talk Radio. She is the founder, creator of Begin to Talk LLC, which deals with mental health. Absolutely, y'all. So, yeah, she's going to be my special guest host every third Wednesday of the month. So we are regularly going to have this conversation, y'all. I told y'all this is my goal. Yes. We're going to talk about all things mental health, about self-care, self-love, have the grown folk conversations. We're going to talk about breaking generational curses. Like, we just going to talk about all things that deal in that realm. So today's subtopic was mental health and adult fun. What does that mean? So go ahead, introduce yourself to the people. Tell them how to find you on social media.
Hello, good people. This is Alicia Durrett Johnson. I am, just like Ms. Nadi stated, the owner and founder of Begin to Talk LLC. Begin to Talk, you can also find us on begintotalk.com. Begin to Talk LLC is a mental health counseling, professional life coaching, and business consulting business that we are in the community. We also deal with individuals, we deal with families, we deal with couples, all different types of things, trying to destigmatize mental health and making this a normal conversation because it's one that needs to be had. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Absolutely, because it definitely needs to happen. Yeah. Like, these conversations have to happen in our community because I think that one of the things that a lot of our generation is learning, that our predecessors, they didn't talk about mental health.
No.
Or wanting to admit that there is a such thing as mental health.
Yes.
So, today's topic, y'all, I know it sounds crazy, but mental health and adult fun, how do those things correlate? I think that a lot of people need to realize when you don't have fun, when you don't do things that adults should be able to do in the realm of joy or having fun, they can affect your mental health. So if you didn't know that, people, I'm telling you that now. There is a correlation between the two. When you don't take time out for self-care, self-love, fun, a break from work, a break from home, which I know it sounds crazy, but you do need a break. Y'all need a break.
Yes.
I need you people to take a break. And you need to have fun. I don't care if it's coloring with your kids. Do something with some joy. Because if not, y'all are going to, like, literally stroke out people.
Literally. And there's actual data to back that up. We'll get to that later.
Oh, she got numbers, people. She's got numbers.
We have numbers.
Okay, so I guess the part that I would like for you to touch on is what is I like this song, I'm sorry. I like this song, yeah. Okay, so one of the things that I think people don't know or pay attention to is that I'm not doing that on purpose, people. I promise you, I really am not. It's doing it on. I feel like it's telling us we need to turn up.
We can do that too.
I feel like it's telling us to turn up one time. It knew I needed it today. Y'all, like, okay, so everybody that follow me knows I'm a workaholic, y'all. I promise y'all, I feel like I'm stroking out today. I have had tingling in my arms, my head hurts.
Yeah, we're gonna have to say a nice prayer for her.
I don't went and had my blood pressure checked.
Right.
They said my blood pressure's fine, people. I took an aspirin. I think it's because I probably haven't actually ate today and probably had enough fluids and just working extra hard. But y'all know how I am, so you know it's kind of one of those things. It is what it is, people. But this is one of those cases of not taking time out to have adult fun and mental health. I'm probably a prime candidate, an example. So I'm going to say I'm definitely interested for this conversation. So I'm gonna let you start off with something, and then we're gonna keep this thing going, because I think this is a conversation that's got to happen. It has to.
Yes. So there are a lot of different things that we can actually open up and start saying, but I always like to open up with Melissa V. Perry. Melissa V. Perry has a book. She was on a broadcaster on CNN, and she also wrote a book called Sister Citizen. And in that book, she described, or she kind of put like a metaphor for the struggle of women, right?
Right.
And so she was talking about an independent field study. So World War II, they did an independent field study for the soldiers that came back. And for those soldiers, they put them in a crooked room, and a crooked chair, and told them to sit up straight. And it sounds funny, right? So put someone in a crooked room in a crooked chair and tell them to sit up straight. Well, these soldiers, as you can already tell, when they're sitting up in the chair, their measurement is always off. It's skewed to one side or another. And Melissa V. Perry mimicked that and used that as a metaphor for the condition of black women in society today, right? So this can be applied to all women, but specifically for black women in society today, and stating that the room was like that crooked room was the mimic of society, right?
Okay.
And it's almost the equivalent of putting black women in this space and telling us to sit up straight, that everything will still be fine, to continue to measure yourself against these lies, basically the stereotypical lies of society and what society tells you. And in the process, you're made to sit up straight.
Right.
And so that right there is a lie in itself. And so I start with that to say that we need to take care of ourselves. And a lot of times we don't take care of ourselves because of shame, stereotypes, and guilt. Guilt is a really big one.
Right. So do you think that the norm in society has become that there is so much responsibility that people are not able to stop and say it's okay to have adult fun?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not just to have adult fun, but just to do the very least for yourself. There's a lot of guilt there. I did a poll recently. I did 2 different polls of women from different age ranges, right? So these are all women, some women that did not have children, women that did have children, older women. So I think the age spectrum was anywhere between 21 and 65. Mm-hmm. And between 21 and 65, all of them said the same exact thing, especially those that had children. They said, we feel guilty, right? Mm-hmm. We feel guilty for taking care of ourselves. Every time we go to buy something for ourselves, we'll buy something for our children instead. Every time we go to take care of ourselves, we'll go to take care of our children instead and deflect off of what we need. So
very true. I think as mothers, you do feel very, 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 very guilty when you do stuff for yourself. Mm-hmm. And even though the intent was to go do something for yourself, mm-hmm. you end up doing stuff for your kids.
For your kids. Every time. I'm even guilty of doing that, and I know better. But to release yourself from that guilt is very important. But there are a lot of things that can happen as a result of not taking care of yourself. So especially with women in general, but if we are particular and we specify with African American women, with black women, we have the highest rates of heart disease. We have the highest rates of stroke, diabetes, obesity, high cholesterol, all of the above, right? Mm-hmm. And one of the things that there's a couple of different things that actually attribute to that, and it's not always diet, and it's not always family history. It's a hormone inside of our bodies called cortisol. Cortisol is a natural hormone that releases. It's your fight or flight hormone, right?
Okay.
When someone is put into an extreme stressful situation,
Okay.
right? Say, and this can just be life in general, that's what makes it chronic. So when someone's in an extreme stress situation and it's continuous, cortisol naturally releases into your body, right? Now, it's a natural hormone, but anything in excess is bad for you. So in excess, cortisol actually hardens your arteries. It keeps you from losing weight. It causes heart disease and stroke. And that is all natural. So you can literally have a great diet, exercise every day, eat healthy, and all of those things. But if you have continuous chronic stress in your life, that right there can be the kicker.
Or she said, you gotta take your cells out and don't even know it.
And the whole time. So, and that's all from stress. That's all from stress. Just not taking care of yourself. So, not taking care of yourself, you literally can kill yourself slowly. And that's the shocker to all of this.
Wow. Okay. That's something I didn't know. Okay. So I guess my next thing would be get into the stigma of why, as women, because we're gonna just talk about women, fellas. I'm not leaving you out. I swear I'm not. But we're gonna talk about the women portion of it, because I think the women portion of it ties into the guy portion. Because if your woman's stressed, if the mother of your children is stressed, if she's not mentally okay, if she's mentally unstable, your kids are not okay, so then you shouldn't be okay. Just saying.
Yeah.
I think there's a correlation there. But I think that there's a stigma that women are supposed to be superwoman.
Yes.
And always be okay.
Yes.
And don't need a break, and that you don't need a moment to yourself. Like, and I hate to say it, especially in our community, if you lay down and head, it is your responsibility. Ain't no breaks in this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand the concept, but I think that statement made it to be where people were supposed to feel as though they not allowed a moment for them. Like they're supposed to lose their entire identity to being a mother, a wife, a girlfriend, or whatever. Like your whole identity just submerged into this other person.
Yes. So there's two parts to that.
Okay.
I heard you say two things. Okay, so the first thing we're going to deal with is shame and stereotypes, right? And then the second part is guilt of not really taking care of yourself and where that comes from, because they both tie into each other.
Okay.
So the first thing we're talking about is shame and stereotypes. So especially if we're talking about women in general or black women, if we specify black women again, for shame and stereotypes, there are stereotypes of the black women are the mammy. That's the mammy that takes care of everybody, the cooks, the cleans, the nurturer, the one that is always taking care of everyone else and never themselves.
Right.
The Jezebel, right? So she's just too hot to trot. She's everything else. And then we also have all of the other stigmas to combat that black people have in general, like you're lazy, incompetent. That's why you automatically get, well, not you, but some black people automatically get offended when folks say you're so articulate. You're like, how is that? I just speak normal.
Right. Are you talking like white people?
Articulate. Yes.
What's that?
Right.
How do white people talk?
Right. So
I'm
there's
confused.
certain, yes, this is an actual cultural thing. There are certain stereotypes that are indicative and are placed on certain cultures. And so if you take all of that on top of the stigmas that we are constantly trying to combat, right? Then of course you wouldn't take care and take time out for yourself. So that's the first part. Second part is the guilty part and not really dealing with You said not really dealing with the relationship part. Not what was the second part? You said not dealing with.
Oh.